lot of people tell me that they don't have time to practice. It's like, oh, but I've got kids, I'm busy at work, and I just can never find the time. Now, to this, I'd really like to say, well, is that the case? Can you honestly tell me that you are not wasting time surfing the web, just getting distracted, checking the news feeds, playing games, or just fluffing about at night doing nothing of any value? So almost always, since we all have 24 hours in our day, we have time to practice. It's just a question of priorities. What do you prioritize? And for me, many, many years ago, decades ago, I made the decision to prioritize my inner well-being. Because I thought, well, look, everything is built on that. If I'm feeling good, if I'm feeling balanced, then my whole world flows nicely. If I'm feeling on edge, if I'm feeling stressed, if I'm feeling emotionally all over the shop, then everything else suffers. And so for that reason, I decided early on, and I've been doing this for almost 30 years now, to prioritize my well-being, as I said, and really start doing things in the morning. And by that, I mean, I get some meditation practice done. I do some Reiki practice in the morning. Personally, I like to do about an hour before I start my day. Now, that is quite a bit of a chunk. That's a lot of time before I get into my normal work activities. But for me, it's worth it. Now, for you, maybe that hour is 20 minutes. Maybe you've got more time. Maybe you can do 2 hours, whatever it is. But the point is, you spend some time in the morning before the business of your day kind of overwhelms you, going within, centering yourself, calming yourself, and that then has a beautiful ripple effect throughout your entire day. And you'll notice it. You'll distinctly feel days where you've had time to go within and days where you haven't. And you're just more balanced. You're less reactive on the days where you've centered yourself before heading out into the hurly-burly of everyday life. Okay, now, one of the issues a lot of people have is they're always saying not only are they too busy to practice, but they can't find kind of the perfect space to practice. Maybe they have kids, husbands, etc. in the home, and there's never really a quiet moment. And so they're like, no, I can't practice. I need to, be in some Himalayan cave, and only if I have total silence, if I'm in a vacuum, then, oh yes, I'll now be able to meditate and I'll be able to do my Reiki, and the world will be a happy place. But here's the thing, you're not often going to get that perfect Himalayan cave type of silence. You'll be meditating, and maybe the best you can do is kind of shut yourself in your bedroom, bolt the door, and listen to your kids screaming and bouncing around and fighting, etc. outside. Or maybe you've got, your husband's got the TV blazing in the room nearby. Maybe you live in a bedsit, and guess what? You have to meditate in the corner of the room whilst all this is going on in the same room as you. Well, guess what? If that is the way it is, then buckle down and meditate in that and give yourself Reiki in those situations. Meditating in an imperfect situation actually in many ways will be better for your practice, because then your practice will become more robust. You'll be able to take it into more places. If the only time you can meditate properly is when conditions are perfect, when there are no distractions, no noise, then it's not of much practical value, because yes, it might be good for that 30 minutes, hour a day you meditate, but what about the other 23 hours when you're in the world? Don't you want to stay connected to your energy, your meditation energy then? But if you can only do that in perfect conditions, this will not happen. So, although all of us would like a nice, quiet environment to do our meditation, and that's fine, often that won't happen in practice, and know that it's a good thing if you need to practice in suboptimal conditions. That will take your meditation deeper. Okay, so never use that as an excuse. What you need to do is just take whatever opportunity you have. If the house is busy, if it's noisy, then sit in a corner and meditate anyway. Okay, now, another trick for finding time to practice is what I call incidental Reiki. So maybe there's actually a day where you are legitimately very, very busy and there's not much time to practice. You have to get up very early, extra early for a plane or some unusual business appointment or whatever it might be, and you're on the run all day, and maybe you don't even get home till super late, and then guess what? Next day you have to get up early, so you're very mindful that you need to get enough sleep, and then you're like, oh, I don't have time to meditate. Well, okay, maybe you don't have time for formal meditation. Maybe you don't have time to kind of sit there in zazen, and shut your eyes in full lotus, undistracted, and meditate. Fine. But you do have time throughout the day to still give yourself Reiki. Okay? Imagine this. You're sitting at a dinner table just chatting to someone. You can always put your hands on your thighs and listen to what they're saying. Put your hands on your thighs and Reiki yourself. You're on a train. Put your hands on your thighs, Reiki yourself. Maybe you're even watching a video, you're looking up information on the web for whatever appointment you've got. Well, put one hand on your body, and as you're looking up this information, Reiki yourself with one hand. You're in a supermarket queue, put your hands in your pockets or somewhere. It doesn't have to be some weird Reiki position that makes you look like a freak. You don't have to kind of put your hands here and wherever it is. Just put your hands gently on your thighs and away you go. Or put your hands in your pockets and away you go. So there's always a lot of time to do Reiki while you're doing other things. And that's what I call incidental Reiki. And so take the opportunity to do this. I mean, imagine you're watching TV. Now, if you're watching TV, then I'd have to ask you, don't you actually have time to do Reiki, like formal sitting? But let's say you're watching TV, maybe it's bonding time with your partner, it's important. Well, maybe you put one hand around your partner. Guess what? You got another hand. That other hand can go on your leg and you can give yourself Reiki. So if you're going to watch TV, at least get some real value from it and Reiki yourself. So as I'm saying, there's always lots of opportunities throughout pretty well any day to give yourself incidental Reiki, and that will keep the Reiki juices flowing. All that Reiki is going to go into your body. It's going to accumulate. It's going to clear blocked energies. It's going to recharge areas that are energetically depleted, and you'll get a lot of benefit from it. Yes, it won't be, deep meditative Reiki, but the Reiki energy will be flowing and you'll benefit from it. So on the day when you can do nothing else, when you're totally hectic, when there's no time for formal meditation or Reiki, give yourself incidental Reiki and you'll get a lot of benefit from that. Okay, now this kind of leads me to another or a similar topic though, which is I really do believe that you need to give yourself what I call a mini Sabbath every day. So the idea of a Sabbath is, of course, that we have one day a week where we kind of go within, where we're not getting caught up in the busyness of life. So we can slow down, be more reflective, be more mindful, and ideally, in a Jewish sense, you're communing with God for some of that day. Well, in our context, modern 2022 life, maybe you're not going to spend an entire day just in, a proper Sabbath type, contemplative activities, but you can still have a mini Sabbath. And I recommend a mini Sabbath every day. That might be the 20 or 30 minutes. So I really believe, as I said at the start of this video, that you have to prioritize that. You have to say, that is, to put it in fancy terms, the sine qua non of my life. That is the thing I cannot do without. I need to nourish my soul, nourish my spirit every day for at least that much, because otherwise, if you can't even find 20 minutes for yourself in the day, it's like bit by bit you feel overrun, you feel overwhelmed, you just kind of get more and more busy on the inside, and it becomes harder and harder to slow down, even if you actually have time to slow down. It's like those times when you sit down to meditate and you're like, aha, I'm going to meditate. Finally, you've got all your work done for the day. Finally, everyone's gone to bed. Finally, it's quiet. Then you sit down, but guess what? Inside, you're still so worked up and busy, like, I've got to wipe the dust off the windowsill. There's always something there to disturb you because you're too wound up. But if you give yourself a mini Sabbath every day, it kind of like, it's that anchor for your life where you can just settle down, go within, and that will have the ripple effects throughout your entire day, and you feel so much more centered. And as I said earlier, so much less reactive to what pops up during the day. So spend the time, just give it to yourself. There's 20 minutes in your day. I promise you could snip away 20 minutes of frivolous activities to do that, and do it in the morning so that then that's the platform for the rest of your entire day. Okay, so really to summarize, it's all about priorities. What are you valuing? So you might say, but I value my spiritual life more than anything else. Well, guess what? Show it through action. If you actually looked at your day, how much is devoted to, meditation, spiritual activities, how much is devoted to, frivolous activities, work, etc. So what you're putting your time into is what you value. I mean, it's as simple as that. Okay, so if you really value, your spiritual side, if you value going within, then you will find time for it. One of the issues too for all of this, as I said, is perfectionism. You're trying to find that perfect moment to meditate, the perfect moment really to do anything, because this problem can pop up, this perfectionism can pop up in other ways. For instance, you've been meaning to do a course, for instance. Oh, but no, I'm too busy at the moment. I can't find the time, and you can keep pushing it back. I want to be more settled in my life. I'm moving house in 2 weeks, or whatever it might be. There's always going to be busyness. There's always going to be a potential excuse. So you have to go, well, but you know what I value? What do I prioritize? I value, my inner existence, my spiritual existence. Then you find time and you're not worrying about perfection. So it's as the old saying goes, you don't need to get it right. You just have to get it going. And that's really important. So just seize any opportunity you can to spend some time to go within. If it's a course, if it's just an action, often there's an action you could be doing. Like many people in this kind of Reiki healing world, one day plan to go on and work professionally. But guess what? They never do, because they're always preparing. They're always trying to get it right, be in the perfect place on the inside, on the outside to start their business. So they never start. So again, you don't have to get it right. You've just got to get it going. So go out, practice, enjoy suboptimal conditions, and get the most out of them. You'll find that you don't need to have everything go perfectly for you. In fact, you're going to get more out of suboptimal conditions many times than you would if you had that quiet Himalayan cave to meditate in. So go out and have fun, and I will see you on the next video.